Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, DMV. Saying
You too?
Yeah, I've gotten them, but it's widespread. So if you're not skeptical in seeing that, wait a minute, this isn't right, and go do your own investigation, you should know that this is fraudulent. And they're trying to dig information from.
Don't click on it. I've gotten those. I called a rep friend of ours, Tactic, last night. Hey, is this real? And they told me, no, it's not.
Right.
Easy Pass. Pennsylvania Easy Pass. I get those all the time. You got a bill with Easy Pass. If you don't take care of it, your Easy Pass is going to be, you're not going to be able to use it any longer.
Well, wait a second. Now that you brought this up, folks aren't used to now going through toll booths. There's no one there now on either side, whether you have Easy Pass or not. And people are confused. Who do you pay and when do you pay it?
Yeah, they will take a picture of your driver's license and they'll send you a bill.
Your tag.
Yeah, based on your tag.
I meant your tag,
yeah.
yes. Right. They take a picture of the tag on your vehicle and they'll send you a bill on a monthly basis.
Who is sending you a bill?
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Transportation.
PennDOT.
PennDOT sending folks a bill. I don't know anyone that's gotten anything yet.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I get them regularly, but I have an Easy Pass.
No, folks without Easy Pass.
But sometimes I don't have my Easy Pass in the car, and they will take a picture.
I thought it was on the windshield, right?
Yeah, but I might move it from one car to another.
That's right. You
because
got 13
I have multiple cars.
Yeah.
Okay, so I move it from one car to another,
Right.
I don't have it. They take a picture of the license plate. They send me a bill.
Okay.
And if I've gone through the toll booth 10 times that month, I'll get a bill with 10 tolls on it.
All right, so we right now have just cleared up something. And Tactic, thanks for bringing this up. That DMV text is BS.
Yeah.
Right? It's a scam. Healthy skepticism.
There you go.
All right.
Healthy skepticism.
Shall we just brought that back?
215-227-2727. If you've got a legal issue, now is the time. Sarah's waiting for you to answer to record your question, and then we will answer it.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
It's off topic, so to speak, but as an attorney.
Yes. By the way, folks, you should understand that none of this is planned. Okay,
we wing it all.
Yeah, we don't have. Maybe we should, but we don't have like a staff meeting days before where he poses the question and says, "Hey, I'm going to ask you a question, and
It's real, yeah.
and this is your answer." I don't know what this question is.
This is like a question coming out of left field.
But you're always prepared, and you have a healthy sense of skepticism behind it.
Go ahead.
Your president is taking on Harvard. Harvard University.
Oh, Harvard.
He had to put
When you
the
pass your
accent in.
kind of yet.
Yeah. Okay.
You ever notice those guys from Boston have great hair? All the Kennedys, great hair. Anyway, Harvard.
Yes.
The Harvard lawyer. This is the creme de la creme, right? How do you see this going?
Good question. I think, I'm hoping, okay, I'm hoping for the sake of the country that the courts are a check on the executive branch. And that these things, because our president, unlike most other presidents that came before him, the mouth starts moving before the brain catches up, if it ever catches up. And he just starts making proclamations like he's the king of Siam. And
Get it yourself.
yeah, and so he makes these proclamations, and the world goes crazy. And then either he withdraws it shortly thereafter, never intending it to be for real, or the courts step in, somebody files a lawsuit, and the courts step in and say, no, that's beyond the ken of your power, and you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way. And so they've been checking him lately in many areas, and he has not gotten away with some of the more drastic things that he's attempted to do. And so I don't know exactly what it is he's trying to do to Harvard, because every day there's a new thing he's doing to Harvard.
The latest thing was keeping international students from being accepted into Harvard.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And
in fact, denying visas.
Visas as well.
Yeah. So they're checking him in this immigration area. There's been a number of his proclamations that they have not let through. One, however, funny you bring this up, was from yesterday, or the 30th. What was that, Friday?
That would be
30th?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Okay. So, and I'm sorry, we dated the show. The show is now going to go into the trash can, but that's another thing. Okay, he's looking at me with the eyes like he's going to kill me in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, none of this is planned. People. None of it is planned.
We try not to say dates because then, if I'm sick or something, we might replay a show. But now when I've set a date, we can only play it once a year, and only if May 30th falls on a Friday. So it's forgotten. Forget about it. It's not May 30th. But yesterday, some unknown date yesterday, the courts said that his proclamation that there was a program that Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans in particular could come here for 2 years and stay legally under an asylum clause for those countries because things were so bad in those countries that we already acknowledge anybody who comes from those countries probably has a legitimate asylum claim.
Sure.
He said, no, I don't like this law. We're going to get rid of it. And so in the flip of a switch, those who are here legally were told you have 30 days to pack your bags and get out. Get the hell out of here. And if you don't get out in 30 days, and remember, they were here legally. If you're not out in 30 days, we're going to deport you. And we may deport you to some prison, on an island.
Salvador.
Yeah, in El Salvador, right. So these folks are beside themselves. But I guess the funny thing that the internet finds funny about this is that the Cubans in particular were completely in the bag of the Republicans during the last election. They were singing Republican songs and dancing Cubans for Trump. And, as soon as he gets into office, the first group of people that gets hoisted out of here are those that actually supported him. And some who were trying to tell those folks that this is where we were headed were finding humor in that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's humorous or not. It's probably not humorous for them and their families. They should have been more skeptical.
Good way to bring that back.
Yeah.
We're living in unprecedented times, y'all, and we tried to warn you. We did. We had a little hubris, Dean, because I sat here and said America will not be stupid enough to do this again. I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Boy,
you were.
We wrong.
Yeah.
And I accept it. I did not see this coming, and now we reap what we sow, and it's not pretty.
No, it's not. It's not. And so we're not as...
How much are eggs again?
I have
Anybody?
That's
eggs?
the least of our problems.
I paid $7 for a dozen eggs on Thursday.
Is that more or less than you normally
It's
would?
too much damn money to
Okay.
pay for eggs.
Okay.
And $4 for a half gallon of milk.
All right. 215-227-2727. We got a caller on line one, Mr. Gonzalez. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What's your question for the listening public and for myself?
My question to you, Mr. Weissman, is this about settling an estate. Can you go ahead and settle the estate if you can't get a receipt of the funeral expenses and a copy of the insurance that took care of that funeral expense? And you've had proof that you've been trying to get this receipt from this person who arranged the funeral for like 9 months. Can you still go ahead on and settle that estate? Because as you know, as well as, well, you probably know as well as I do, that the longer it takes to close an estate, the more money it costs.
Okay, good set of questions. I gotta tease it out a little and make some points here. First of all, an insurance policy that there is a beneficiary of. So I have, let's say, my wife is the beneficiary of my insurance policy, and it's a $1 million policy. Does that policy come into probate? And the answer is no. That is a contract that is outside of probate. So she gets that $1 million tax, death tax free. That slides to her directly, and it is not a part of my estate. If I did not name a beneficiary on my policy, then the policy would come into the estate and it would be probatable. As for funeral expenses, while you've done your best efforts to get the proof of the funeral expenses, I would say you should list the amount of money you are claiming that you spent, and unless and until somebody doubts that or questions that, it probably isn't a big deal. You'll probably glide right through the process. Nobody says that you have to attach receipts to your filing for probate. So I would, you've used your best efforts. If you're not able to do it for now, I would file your probate estate without the backup proof.
That little detail shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't.
Great.
Just use the right
It
amounts,
mattered in one part.
Place that in the proper boxes on the forms. Where does this come into play? This comes into play in the filing of your estate tax return. So you're actually filing an estate tax return with the Office of the Register of Wills in Philadelphia. And so when you're filing that, you get to deduct certain expenses from the value of the estate. If your estate was a $50,000 estate, but you spent $10,000 on the burial, then it's a $40,000 estate. That's the amount of money that actually comes to the beneficiary of that estate after the deduction for the funeral expenses. Now, if the if the life insurance policy was payable to a individual, that individual really didn't have an obligation to use that money to bury the person. Technically, it could go to that person because it's outside of probate.
But can you, in your will, tell the person or merge them together to have that person pay, part of that pay for the funeral expenses?
Yes.
Can you put that in your will?
Of course you can. But again, you want to make sure that the life insurance policy doesn't become an asset of the estate, that it goes outside the estate. Otherwise, you're paying taxes unnecessarily on that money.
Gotcha.
215-227-2727. Mr. Gonzalez, does that do it for you, sir?
That does it for me. That answers a lot of things that's been on my mind, and a lot of things now I can go ahead on and relate this stuff and take care of everything that has to be taken care of. That's wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for listening. Have a great
Thank
Saturday.
you.
Oh, I hope you gave your address to Sarah, because I did promise you.
No, not yet.
All right, you stay on the
Good.
line, and we're going to have
Okay.
Sarah get your address so that I can get you a MyPhillyLawyer pack.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care. Have a great Saturday.
I don't know. The whole time he was talking, I kept thinking about that episode of Seinfeld. George was trying to get the death certificate.
Never watched the show. Don't know.
Stop. You never saw one episode of Seinfeld.
I may have seen snippets of an episode, but I doubt I ever saw an episode in its entirety. And I know that's crazy talk,
Well,
especially
in some circles. I don't know.
It's crazy talk. It's kind of
I think I might be with you.
Well, it depends on what room you're in. I've never seen one episode of The Walking Dead. Anything.
so the whole the
I've never
entire
seen one.
series from start to finish.
I've
Right,
never seen
me
any
too.
of the offshoots. None of them. I've not seen any of them.
yeah.
Some folks would think that's weird.
To each.
Yeah.
His
So-
own. Yeah.
I do want to get, and I think I do want to sit down one day and watch the Seinfelds.
Well, you know what I am watching right now? Finally, Succession.
Succession. Never saw a few episodes. Never got pulled into it. Need to
What
see
about you?
that.
Tactic ever? Succession?
No, never got pulled in.
But you know what it's about, right? You got a sense
Yeah.
of what it Let me just say this. All those people are a-holes. There is no, they all are. There's not one person that you can go, okay, none of them. All these trust fund baby types in their circle, my God.
Yeah, those aren't people you probably, I would think, want to be friends with. They're
No.
not like, people you'd share a beer with.
They're insecure, they're arrogant, they're just bad people, man.
Yeah. That's what money does to people sometimes.
With all that wealth.
Yeah, not me.
Well, now you came up
From humble
beginning. You from
Yeah.
the OC. You it wasn't you're not a trust fund baby, to say the least.
No.
Yeah,
No.
but these folks, that's all they know. And that's just, I couldn't hang around with folks. I would smack somebody. I know I would. In spite of I don't have the temperament to hang out with people like that.
215-227-2727. That's the number you should put in your phone. If you need a lawyer and
award-winning.
Yes, it is. That is true.
We don't pat you on the back enough, but
Yeah.
come on.
All right. We were awarded the gold medal, the #1 position, the most favorite law firm for personal injury in all of Philadelphia.
It is what it is, man.
I mean, there's a lot of law firms and lawyers out there.
A lot of loud ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that you feel like you got a piece of gum on your shoe and you're trying to get it off.
The canine counselor,
But we are actually, as you said, officially Philly's favorite law firm for personal injury. So, and last year Saul got Philly's favorite law firm for estates.
Now I know you might be skeptical.
You might be, but
this is true.
Hey, listen, don't believe me. Go onto the Inquirer's website for
yourself.
Philly favorites, and you'll see last year Philly favorites for estate planning, and this year Philly's favorite for personal injury litigation.
Make it do what it do.
It is what it is. We got another caller. Do we want to take a break right now? Yes? No? Maybe?
Your call, Jackie.
Yeah, I think we probably can take a break.
All right. We got a caller on the line. Howard, stay with us. We'll be back. And if you haven't called yet, give us a call. You'll get a pack today, a Philly gift pack, and we'll answer your question. 215-227-2727. We'll be right back. It happens every day here. Live for YouTube. Hi, guys. We have a question.
Anybody?
Oh, well, if YouTube asks a question, we will answer you before we get back on. You've got 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Now, are we going to talk about pardons, right? We are going to discuss
We are going to discuss pardons, yes. I mean, I promised the show we would, and we will.
Somebody out there would like a pardon, I'm sure.
I'd like a pardon.
You may know somebody.
I need a pardon.
What do you need a pardon for?
How about that tax case back when I was younger?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They don't go away, do they?
No, they do not. How about it seems like everybody who's got a tax case is a fair game for Mr. Trump.
Well,
at least for a pardon.
Yeah.
At least for a pardon.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing we'll get into, you get your federal pardon, but if you got state time,
no,
that don't go away.
No. Federal can't pardon state, and state can't pardon federal.
Because if that was so, he would have pardoned himself.
Which he hasn't and can't do.
Exactly.
He would have pardoned himself.
He would have tried to.
Another reason why I think he'll never leave.
He'll never leave, you think?
He's going to figure out a way.
No. Guess what? He will leave if he's defeated.
He'll never leave. He'll figure out a way. Martial law, some type of way.
Yeah, he was defeated in 20
and
or
he didn't
16,
leave.
and he didn't
Which
leave.
is why he's still the leader of the party. He
20.
did something nobody else ever does.
He did leave.
Yeah.
After losing, he never left, and that's why he stayed in power.
He just never said that he lost, but he left.
Need a sip of water.
Mr.
All right,
Gonzalez.
well, you only got 20 seconds.
How much time's left in the break?
10 seconds for a sip.
I can get Howard's right now. How much?
Hello, YouTube.
We're going back in, baby.
Be back.
Okay. Headsets on. Yeah, baby. I am Dean Weitzman, your host every Saturday morning right here on Court Radio, 100.3 WRNB.
And Classics 1079.
Dean, we got to say hi to our listeners, Keenan and Pam, who listen every Saturday, as well as Mr. Don, Carol, and DLC.
Shouts to y'all.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
And let me just give a plug for YouTube. If you want to watch us while we're giving out information, while we're entertaining you, you got to go to the MyPhillyLawyer YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search for MyPhillyLawyer, and you will find us live streaming every Saturday morning right here. And you can pick that up on the feed if you don't get a chance to see us live, and you'll be able to catch up on where we are. what else? Oh, we have a live show coming up. We're actually going to do a live in-studio show on June 21st, I believe, Saturday, June 21st. If you'd like to attend, send me an email, dean@MyPhillyLawyer, dean@MyPhillyLawyer.com.
And if you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
And if you send me an email, I will put aside a ticket for you. We will have about 20 guests who will be in the studio. We'll have breakfast. We're going to have games. We're going to have prizes. It's going to be a great time. It always is. This is like our third or fourth live show.
Yep.
They've always been wonderful shows.
Packed with folks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good folks come up.
We have to turn people away. So don't wait. If you want a ticket, get me an email, dean@MyPhillyLawyer. Tell me you need a ticket. Give me some contact information, and we will get the tickets to you. And I promise you'll have a great time. All right, we got callers lined up. We're talking about pardons. I'm going to get to my callers in 1 minute. I just want to talk for a moment about reality TV show husband and wife, the Chrisleys, received a pardon and were set free, while Larry Hoover, one of Chicago's most notorious gang leaders, also received a pardon, and he is still in jail. And there's a reason why that is, and I'm going to explain it. The difference: a president can only pardon your federal charges, whereas a governor can only pardon your state charges. Right? The Chrisleys only had federal charges. And Mr. Hoover faces state charges and another 100 years in jail on state convictions. So he would move from the federal penitentiary to the state penitentiary and
serve out the remainder.
Yes.
So what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
The point is that he probably doesn't want the pardon. Because it's probably a lot nicer in federal prison than it is in state.
Probably. You think about that.
Yeah,
that Fed time a little different than state time.
It is. Yeah.
And county time.
Yes. So as you get down, it gets a little nastier each time. So, I would say that now the Chrisleys were found guilty. Now, what we're talking, remember, a pardon is not saying that you were innocent. Although once you've received the pardon, it's as if you were never convicted. They happen to have had their case heard by a judge and a jury. The evidence was tested, and to the satisfaction of the jury, they were found guilty of conspiring to defraud banks out of more than $30 million in loans and also failing to pay the taxes on that money. Mr. Trump commuted the federal sentence, and now it's as if they're free and clear. They've never committed a crime. It didn't happen. They walk away. Their record is erased. They have no obligation, perhaps, to pay back any restitution. Now, in their case, I believe there's an allegation. I remember Healthy Skepticism. Right. Check it out. I'm not 100% sure of this. But what they claim is there were civil suits brought at the same time years ago, and that they settled up with the banks and the government, and they paid their taxes, and they paid back the loans. I don't know if they paid it all back, but they paid it back, and those matters were resolved when, lo and behold, the government then reaches out at a subsequent, much later time and begins the criminal prosecution. And that it was politically motivated and blah, 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 and off they went to prison. So maybe that's true. Maybe, listen, everybody who commits income tax evasion is not caught and is not convicted, okay?
Fair enough.
That's a guarantee. So you're always going to be the scapegoat to some extent when the government catches you and makes a case against you. You can always feel that way, like, oh, this I'm just doing what everybody else did.
Yeah, but they're making an example out of me.
Yeah, and every year they do make an example out of somebody. There's always a lawyer, the doctor, the business owner who they bring a case and they publicize it because they hope that publication and that conviction will sway people not to do the bad things that person did.
But it never does.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe it swayed one or two people. Who knows? But if we didn't have those trials and convictions, then people would think they never have to follow the law, and we would be a completely lawless society.
Well, the law is the only thing saving us all right now, period. The battles back and forth in these courtrooms and these...
Yeah.
This is a rough time. Lawyers right now, you're earning your fee.
So I wonder if our listeners think that it's a good thing that Mr. Trump is in his way righting the scales of justice by freeing folks from their convictions who feel like they were singled out.
What does your legally trained, healthy skeptic mind say?
I think that all presidents, both Democrat and Republican, have used the pardon power to benefit their friends and beneficiaries. To some extent, that has happened.
All right.
And so he's doing it. Is he doing it more? I don't know. But it's certainly being brought to our attention more now that he has been doing this, because these folks, people in their families gave him millions of dollars, contributed millions of dollars.
So this is transactional, isn't it?
It is definitely transactional. Let's not get it twisted.
Okay.
The guy is for sale to some extent. But maybe all of them have been for sale to some extent.
We didn't know?
And we didn't pay attention. Maybe. Do we like that? Do we want to take the pardon power away or have some control over it? Make it based upon something more than the desire of the president? I don't know. Should there be a pardon committee who has to decide, like a parole committee who has to decide, are we going to give this pardon out to this person?
And who should be on the committee and how those folks selected?
Because some people do turn their life around to such a substantial sense that perhaps they've earned the right to have the crime erased from their record. And certainly not these clowns. I mean, they were still in jail. They hadn't even served out their sentence. I mean, they hadn't done anything that I'm aware of to have earned the right for a pardon other than contributed millions of dollars to Donald Trump's inauguration or what have you. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Howard on line 2, please.
Morning, Howard.
Oh, Howard.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you, Howard. How are you? Welcome to Court Radio.
I'm fine, yourself.
I'm doing well. What's your question,
I
sir?
just got it. My question is there a statute of limitation? Basically, my mother passed about 6 years ago. I'm a beneficiary. She left her pension to me. I never got it yet. Is it a statute of limitation? Can I still get the money? How does that work?
Yes, I think you still can get the money. At some point.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah, I hear you. I think they have it. I think they have a duty to hold that money. They cannot take the money. But I think, and I'm
Okay.
and I think I am not. I want you to be skeptical about this, but something tells me 7 years, and it escheats to the state of Pennsylvania. What does that mean? That means that even after whatever that time is, whether I'm right, it's 7 years, or it's 8 years, or it's 10 years, or it's 4 years, whatever the number is, they then send the money to the state of Pennsylvania if that's where the funds were. And Pennsylvania holds it for a period of time. And so I think
so
6 years, you're within that time frame that somebody, whether they moved it to the Pennsylvania coffers or whether they still have it, I think you're within that time frame to make a claim.
Okay, and I'll just ask you this. She worked for the school board. Would I go to them or would I go to Social Security? Like, where do I go to get the... Because I don't got the paperwork no more, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think...
so where exactly do I go?
Did she have an estate? Did she have an estate attorney? Was there a property that was transferred?
No, she didn't have a will, but the paperwork was sent to me multiple times. At the time, I didn't want to get the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like when my father passed, I didn't get the money, his insurance money, a year after he passed. So I just...
Are you her only heir?
It's about that time now. No, I have a sister, too.
Okay.
But it was in my name. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The paperwork was in my name. Like, even her insurance policy was under me.
Gotcha. All right. So then I would say this. I would say this. call the school board, ask them who you would get in touch with regard to pension questions. There may be an office of pensions, and you want to give them your mom's information, probably a death certificate, and you want to inquire about whether she left a pension. And I think somebody will give you some information. But should they not, and you've made a good faith effort to try to get it, you may need to retain an attorney to, again, I don't know how much money's involved, but if it's, she worked for them for a long time, it's probably
I think it was 28,
a substantial sum of money. And you may want to retain an attorney to dig into that. But I would try it on your own first, and if that doesn't work, give us a call at the same number you called for Court Radio, 215-227-2727. We'd be happy to help if you need us.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Howard, have a great Saturday, and thanks for listening to Court Radio.
Be safe, fam.
You too. I appreciate that.
All right. There you go. Howard's
These pardons. I don't think we've heard the term pardon so much lately.
Yeah. Is there a bigger, what's that thing called, magnifying glass on Trump than there was on any other president before him?
No, he likes it this way, too.
He does.
He invites this.
I'm not saying the man didn't earn the right to be examined. But is he being examined more because of his own?
Are you saying scrutinized? Is that the word?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
I bet you Obama was more scrutinized.
Fair enough, maybe so. Folks, do you think Trump is more scrutinized than any other president before him? Are we looking at things that they all do and did constantly? For instance, Obama, I hear, again, haven't checked into it to the extent I would feel comfortable, but haven't you heard that Obama deported more people than any other president before him?
I had heard that.
Okay. So
What was the difference when he did it as opposed to Trump?
well, how about kindness?
That's not
Empathy.
empathy. Exactly.
Yeah.
No cruelty, and there wasn't as much as a spotlight, and there wasn't as much concern or questions about it as there were during the Trump era, where it became like the forefront of the campaign, the issue.
The issue, yes.
That's why.
So the campaign made it the forefront of the campaign,
Right.
the issue. But again, it was happening before. Is it happening to the same extent or more now? Maybe. Is there a lack of empathy? For sure. Because, it seems like the folks who are doing the deporting now are actually getting some sort of joy out of it.
Well, there's more scrutiny. There's more light on this now.
Yes.
It's an issue, and a lot of it is performance politics. A lot of this, what we're seeing, ICE agents in masks coming in the middle of the night and all this stuff. But what wasn't done before, Dean, the chaotic pace and approach to it. It's all helter-skelter. That's what's different.
Fair enough. 215-227-2727, the number for all things legal. And if you're watching on YouTube and you've got a question, you can post your question live on YouTube and we will answer it today, even if it's after the broadcast ends.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll stay here forever for you.
Maybe.
I will. I promise you. I will delay going to my granddaughter's first birthday party to answer questions from people on YouTube.
You better be healthy and skeptical if you believe that.
Let's talk to Becky on line 1. Oh, Becky.
Hello?
Hi,
Morning,
Becky.
Becky.
Welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well now that I'm talking to you.
Thank you.
What's your question?
My question is, if you have somebody that you know is incarcerated and their family has passed away, like their mother and their father, and there are estates, gold, bonds, stocks, what resources can you reach out to in order to try to gain that information so that this way the person that's incarcerated could go ahead and file for those claims if they're available?
Well, the very first thing you need to do is get a power of attorney, because nobody's going to talk to you about anything unless you can establish that you are the legal representative of the person in prison. So power of attorney first, notarized, demonstrating that you have the right to speak on his or her behalf. Once that happens, then you need some information, like what stocks are we talking about? What companies? Were they issued directly by the company? Was there a brokerage house involved? Did they have an account somewhere? Is it in, Merrill Lynch or, Northwestern or whoever? What, you need somewhere to start. There's not like a
There's no kit.
There's no main number you call and say so and so had stocks. Where and what did they have? You need to have some information to begin going down that road.
Okay.
I think, Becky, that might answer your question, but I wouldn't know because you don't have a microphone.
Well, I know you could go to patreasury.gov to get unclaimed funds there, unclaimed money.
Yes.
But is there any other places that I would be able to look to?
No. Everything is private. It's private transactions. You have accounts places. Those accounts are, not public knowledge. If I have an account at a bank, the bank is not going to provide that information to anyone until they've been approached, and make sure that the person who's asking, how when you call somebody nowadays, they want to know your date of birth, your social security number, your address, where you last ate a hamburger. And once you answer all those questions, then they know they're dealing with a legitimate person who they should be sharing information with. Otherwise, they have a duty to protect that information. So, no, you're not going to get that information at a clearinghouse or some, one-stop shop. You have to know where the cash is or the stocks are. And then, now, if enough time has passed, you would think that those funds, stocks, cash, whatever, would transfer to Pennsylvania, and you'd be able to get it through the number or the website you mentioned. But that has to, that's the question today. How long before property escheats? Because now you're the second person who asked that, so I've got to do something
You'll
here.
make a note of it?
Yeah.
You're number 2. You're the second person who asked
Okay.
But the answer to your first question is no. There's no clearinghouse.
Okay. So I have another question. If it's been, say, like maybe 5 years since you had a slip and fall at your previous employer, you mentioned it to your previous employer when you worked there, and they gave you the runaround about who laid the brick foundation in order to cause my fall. So I never made a claim.
How long ago did you fall, dear?
I would say maybe 5 years.
Too late.
Maybe.
Too late.
Done.
Yeah, 2-year statute of limitations on negligence claims in Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, you're beyond that. Let me answer your first question now. And again, using a healthy skepticism, this is a guidepost. Don't think that I've dug in deep enough to guarantee you the results, but I think it's right. In Pennsylvania, most property is considered dormant and reportable to the state after 3 years if the owner hasn't indicated an interest or no contact has been made. I don't think they have to send it to the state after 3 years, but they can. It's possible. However, there are exceptions. Wages payroll has a 2-year dormancy period. And money orders, traveler's checks have a longer dormancy period of 7 and 15 years. So accounts, I still say that I think probably many companies use the 7-year number as the right number. If I've held on to your property for 7 years, I've tried to reach you, I have been unable to reach you, you showed no interest in reaching me, I think at that point I have an obligation to send it to the state. But I'm going to dig real deep into that and get us the final answer on our next show. Thank you so much, Becky. Have a great Saturday.
That statute of
You too, thank
limitations
you.
question comes up a lot on a lot of different issues.
Statute of limitations questions does come up, and I'm going to answer that when we come back off a break in 2 minutes. It happens every day
Meanwhile, you YouTube folks are going, Google statute of limitations. You guys been watching any games at all? Any of these?
I've been watching every game because I've got bets on every
I'm
game.
sure you do.
I can't seem to get like if somebody's watching and you're a savant with basketball betting, please reach out to me because while I consider myself to be talented in the arena of football, I frequently get it wrong on basketball. I don't understand
You're
it.
not alone with this.
I am taking I am not taking the Knicks tonight. I am not.
Oh, him.
I'm not. I'm not taking the Knicks tonight. I am taking
Pacers.
the Pacers,
In
Indiana.
Game 6.
Yeah, I am taking Indiana in the first quarter and the first half.
Let me just see.
I am not
that's
taking.
it.
I'm not taking it on the whole game.
That's
Because
the difference.
I'm going to give it an opportunity to prove me wrong, so that I might have to flip the script.
Dang.
I'm going with the first quarter because I think they're coming out hot in the first quarter. They got their back against the wall. They're in Indiana. I think they're coming out hot out of the gate.
Indiana.
Yes.
Halliburton barely scored a point the last game. He was non-existent. But Dean, as a healthy gambler, an honest gambler, with scruples, do you ever think, Mr. Healthy Skepticism, that some of these teams and these players are in on this?
I cannot believe that.
You don't know, cannot or don't want to.
I do not want to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it would take the joy out of the gambling. It would, because I don't want to know the answer. I don't want to win like that. I want to win because I'm smart and I figured out who's going to win that game that night.
I feel you on
All
that.
right, we're
but
going
the
back in,
pandemic
y'all.
changed everything, and gambling has taken such a lead in what we do when we watch these games. I'm just skeptical all the
Here's
time.
More Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Yeah, baby. We're back. We're live. I'm Dean Weitzman. I am the host of Court Radio every Saturday morning right here in Philadelphia on 100.3 WRNB.
And Classics 1079.
There you go. We are live in the studio. Speaking of live in the studio, we are having our next live studio presentation right here in this studio.
Well, the show's not in the studio.
Okay,
We're going to
it's-
be in the other room.
We're
Yeah.
going to be in the large guest studio.
Big reception
So,
room.
entertainment.
In the entertainment room.
Complex.
Okay.
yeah.
And we've got room for about 20 or
Or
so.
Yeah, because we always have folks in the hall as well. Yeah.
We're going to have a scrumptious breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer your questions live in the studio, and we're going to do some gift giving. It's a lot of fun, actually, isn't it? You guys think it's a fun thing?
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
All
yeah.
the time.
No, really, you look forward to coming up for that because, again, like, the questions are great, the audience is great, the gifts are fantastic.
You know, and I like seeing people. I
Yeah.
like to see the people that we help.
Yeah, I do too.
That's always a good thing.
Yep.
Keenan and Pam, I want to see at least one of you two come up to that show.
There you go.
And so we've had a full house every time we've run one of these shows.
Yeah.
And June 21st, Saturday, June 21st, is our next show. If you want tickets, it's going to be a sellout. I guarantee you it's going to be a sellout.
Every
It
time.
always is.
Every time.
If you want tickets, you got to email me, dean@myphillylawyer.com soon. And then I will pass that email on to Sarah, and Sarah will make the arrangements for you. She'll get you on the list. She'll get you your tickets, and we'll vet you to make sure that you're, legit. You're not, going to do harm to the studio guests. We might have to,
There'll be none of that.
yeah, there will be none of that.
But if anybody gets hurt, there will be an attorney available.
So, we were talking about pardons today, but statute of limitations
Statute of
came up,
limitations
and I
came
want to
up.
just finish the show with a brief overview of statutes of limitations. So there is no one statute of limitations, and sometimes there are exceptions. But generally speaking, if you've been harmed by somebody through the negligence of that person or that company or that entity, you have 2 years from the date you were harmed to bring a claim. Not knowing who to bring a claim against is not a reason to delay the statute of limitations, because in Pennsylvania, I can sue an ABC company or a John Doe. I can preserve the statute of limitations within the 2-year period. And
what does
then,
that mean, you can preserve it?
Well, I can file suit against a John Doe or an ABC corporation, an unknown entity, essentially,
okay.
because I do not know who it is, and I cannot find out who it is. And so I sue it in that fashion and then do some investigating. Like, I have the subpoena power now of the court.
Okay.
So I can subpoena records from the company.
So file.
Yes.
So you can start this process. That's what you're saying.
There's no excuse for not knowing who to sue is not an excuse for not suing. But there are excuses. For instance, let's say the classic example, I've gone in for surgery. I've had to have my appendix taken out. They take my appendix out. I feel fine. They sew me up, and I go about my business. 9 years go by, and I get a fever. And it's unexplained, and they do some digging, and the fever gets worse. They can't treat it with antibiotics. I'm dying. They do a CAT scan, and they say, whoop, there's something in your belly that was not supposed to be there.
They left something in you.
We found a sponge in there, and the sponge has perforated your whatever, and the gunky stuff is starting to leak out into your belly. And the gunky stuff is going to kill you. We got to get in, emergency surgery. Well, there was no reason for me to know or understand that that doctor or that nurse had left that sponge in my belly 9 years ago. That statute is told until I found out on the day I was diagnosed with the sponge in my belly. I then have 2 years from that date to bring my lawsuit. And so that is called a tolling statute. It is tolled, T-O-L-L-E-D, tolled until you discover that there was a reason to have a claim in the first instance.
You know what it sounds like? You need a surgical warranty from now on.
Well,
when's my warranty run out?
Yeah, well, when you pass away and they didn't find a sponge.
Okay.
But if they do find one and you're still
this
alive.
happens a lot, doesn't it?
It has. I mean, in my career, I've seen it several times where that particular claim was presented. And we've, in each and every instance, we've discovered who was at fault, and we got our clients compensated for the full extent of their injuries. So there are tolling statutes. Contracts have a 4-year statute. As we know, there's a statute of repose that deals with contractors in your home or people who build your home that is much, much longer. I think it's a 20-year statute for the statute of repose. And so, folks, statutes of limitations are not easy things, and they should be things you talk to your lawyer about and do it as soon as you realize there may be a claim. We are all out of time, and as often happens, there's things I want to tell you that I don't have time to, but I'll talk to you next week. Same time, same place. Anything on YouTube. You can make a question up, young man.
He's going to stay here all afternoon.
No. Last time we did have questions on YouTube.
We did. We got more so comments this time.
Comments.
He commented and said, Manny, I'll be in Lower Slower, Delaware on the 21st, but I'll be listening.
That's where his peeps are from, yeah.
Oh.
And Loretta says, I worked with Mr. Saul before regarding my parents' estate, and I'm looking to downsize into condos, but I'm a little scared. Also looking at 55 Novo Community. Not sure if this is the time to move.
Well, I will say this. If you're going to engage in any real estate transactions, whether it's to sell your home or to purchase a new home, it is a huge life's decision. And those contracts should be reviewed by your trusted lawyer. Even like you may spend money for a lawyer to review a contract, and the realtor may say, well, it's not necessary. I don't buy that. And I say that from my heart, not because I'm a lawyer going to make a money on this, because frankly, it's money I don't need, that kind of money. But I would say that, you're going to buy yourself an insurance policy, because if there's something in that contract that you need to know about and you don't know about it, and your lawyer reviewed it and didn't warn you, then you can go back to your lawyer and say, hey, I hired you to review this contract. You didn't tell me about X, Y, or Z, and now I'm having to pay money for something I didn't expect. That's an instance where you've purchased an insurance policy because you could sue your lawyer. You could go back to your lawyer and say, you had an obligation to warn me about this risk that you didn't warn me about, which is why a lawyer charges you to review a contract, because it exposes the lawyer to future risk, because you have a duty to make sure you've warned your client of all the pitfalls in that contract.
I didn't think about that.
So I think it behooves a client to spend the money to have a lawyer review a contract and to find out if there's any hidden pitfalls there that they need to be mindful of.
Beautiful. She commented, I trust Mr. Sal, period. He's the best.
He really is.
He really is.
Well,
Saul
there's
is
a
the best.
reason Saul Langsam is a gold medalist for estate planning, and he earned that through hard work and taking care of his clients every day. And he's accessible. He's when you call the office, he might be a gold medalist, but he's not dodging your call. He's picking the phone up and having a conversation with you
Here's what you guys need
before
to
you're
know.
even a client.
Dean and these guys, they actually enjoy this work. They enjoy reading all this stuff, the minutia, the details, stuff that we go, these guys do it. They
Well, and
do
the other
it
thing
all.
is we used a word today, and I think it's an important word for your lawyer to have: empathy. Like I grew up, like you said, in the Oxford Circle, not having, two nickels to rub together. I mean, when the screen door broke off, we didn't have a screen door.
Hey.
And so
Dean has used pliers to turn the channel on the TV set at some point in his
I
life.
did.
Yeah. I know.
Were you there?
We've all done it.
So when I have a client, that relationship is sacred to me, and I want to make sure that I've done everything I can to get that client compensated for the injuries they've sustained, so they don't have to worry about it for the rest of their life.
Amen. Amen to that.
All right, folks. I do have a baby birthday party to get to, and I'm on my way now. Thank you so much for listening. Tell your friends. Join us next week. We'll see you here, same time, same place.
Bye-bye.
Just as a reminder, you had said when we did the last live show that you're